Hello and welcome to the first of the Chew Valley School Adobe Flash Professional CS5 tutorials and videocasts for the website. I've opened up Flash already, mainly because it's quite slow to load, so I didn't want you waiting while watching the video. But you can find it from Start, Programs, Adobe Master Collection CS5, and then Flash Professional CS5. Don't get the Catalyst, get the professional version, and it'll load all the plugins, and you'll get to this screen. Now you've got two choices here, two main choices anyway. You've got ActionScript 3 and ActionScript 2. We're going to be start programming in this ActionScript 2.0. The newer version of the 3.0 is very object orientated. It's not the easiest thing to learn when you're starting out, so make your lives easier, and when you're first using Flash, ActionScript 2, get used to the language and then move up to the 3 afterwards. So I click that and I've got the Flash interface loaded. Now it looks very, very similar to Paint here. We've got the stage, and in fact it is very similar to Paint. So I've got the toolbox, and I can click Paintbrush using the brush tool, and I can draw on it as if it was Paint. So I'm gonna write Flash animation up there. Notice it's smoothing the edges off the things when I write, so it's doing that automatically for me. Whereas in Paint, obviously you'd be stuck with the little tiny edges. This one does smooth it out and make it look a bit nicer. So I'll write Flash animation in very poor text there, and just drawing on the edges, and the dot for the little eye. So we've got Flash animation, we've got the different colours and bits that we can select up there, and we've got a little star just to prove that the colours can change, and you can select that ad hoc whenever you want to. So you've got Flash animation on the stage in the centre, and the main difference between this and Paint is that we've got this timeline up here. Now if you imagine this timeline as different pages of a book, and you've got page 1 over here, and you can add different pages as and when you need it, all the way up to forever, all the way on the end. You can keep going as far as you want to. That's completely up to you. But we've got, say, page 20 there. We want to include something on there. We want to write something onto page 20. So on our timeline, on layer 1's timeline, I'm going to include something here. I'm going to go click on it underneath 20 and insert a timeline and a keyframe. So not a normal frame, we want something to happen, so we're going to use a keyframe for it. So there it is, there's my keyframe, and you'll notice the text that was on page 1 has been copied over to page 20 automatically for us. I'm not going to have it, so I'm going to press the delete key on my keyboard, or I can go edit, cut, delete key, and that just deletes itself. So I've got something on page 1 which gets copied over these pages because it's not a keyframe, nothing's happening, and then on page 20 is completely blank. Ready for me to draw my next bit, so I'm going to get my paintbrush back up again, and my properties for my paintbrush, so I just click off it, click back on it, choose a different colour, and I'm going to write is a bit different, because it is. The Flash animation might not be something you've come across before, and if you haven't, you're in for a bit of a treat here. Now a lot of people, when they first pick up Flash, will go, you can draw on it, and there's a timeline, which must mean that if I put a keyframe here, and then a keyframe next to it, and a keyframe next to it, I can build it up slowly, and I can get different animations to happen. You can do that. That's called frame-by-frame animation, or stop-frame animation. It's not the best program to use for stop-frame animation. There are better ones out there, and it is entirely possible to create a stop-frame animation using Flash. But I wouldn't consider doing it. There's a lot more powerful things you can do in Flash. For instance, I've got something on frame 1 that I've done with a paintbrush. On frame 20, I've got something else. And in between, the good thing about Flash is I can right click and I can say, I want you to shape tween it. I want you to move from one shape to the other, and it will. So if I do that, you can see it's already breaking things apart. So at frame 10, this is what it would look like if it was run. So if I go back to 1 and run it, you can see how the letters were taken apart from F from the Flash here, and that was zoomed downwards, and you can see it's morphing together with the L and the A there, and is going into an I. So Flash will do that work for you. You don't have to pull that apart and work out where things are going. That star from the top right hand side is moving down into the NT, just up there, and Flash will do that, and it'll be unique each time. So if someone else drew it slightly differently and added an extra bit there, we'll see I've highlighted it in red specifically so you can see where that's going. But there it is. That bit is now going into the D. Whereas if I highlight a different bit and I go different colour, we'll highlight this blue bit on bright blue. I'll try and get really obvious, so I'll put a little circle up there. You can now see that Flash is morphing that for you. You don't need to do that. Flash is doing it. As long as you've set up that right click shape tween, so remove tween, shape tween, as long as you've done that, Flash will do the rest for you. That's the crux of a basic shape tween on Flash. I'm going to go a bit further because I've got a bit of time in this video to go. I've done a little shape tween, but I want to keep that on for a bit, because if I control and enter to run it, you'll notice you can't see the start or the end bits. So I need to drag the start frames on a bit and also keyframe at the end. So I need to make this bit longer at the start. So I need to literally click and drag all of that and move that a bit further, and then copy the stuff that was in that frame into the first one, because the first one's blank, it's white, there's nothing in it, it's got a white dot proving that it's completely blank. So I need to get the stuff that was in here, edit copy, into this one. And you're all thinking edit paste. It's not, it's actually edit paste in place, because you want it to be in exactly the same place it was previously, rather than just pasting wherever my right click mouse pointer is. So I'm going to paste in place, and it goes to the exact same space that it was, so that'll stay on for a bit. And then right at the end, I want to have a keyframe over here just saying, look, you've kept that on for a bit, let's do the same thing for this end bit. Insert a keyframe, and it'll stay on for that amount of time. Now, you're all going, how long is 25 to 35 frames? Well, it says down here, it's 1.4 seconds at 35 frames, and it's only 1 second at 26 frames. So, between there, in 9 frames, we are doing 0.4 of a second, and it's 24 frames per second in our frame rate. Let's run that, control and enter. So it stays on for a bit, stays on for a bit. You can actually read the text now, and if you want to make it even longer, just same process, drag it out a bit further, and drag your last keyframe out a bit further as well. We've now got it on for probably a long enough time that you can actually read the stuff. That's how to do shape tweens using the paintbrush and also the pencil as well. Have a go!